This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated with another true crime of insurance fraud story. This video number 74 is entitled, Someone Stole My Rolls Royce. Investing in California real estate in the 1980s was fun. Whatever you bought, you could sell for more. The doctrine, there is always a greater fool than I, worked. Chen Hua immigrated to California from Hong Kong in 1981. He did it legally, winning a lottery for a green card. He came to the U.S. with his savings converted from Hong Kong dollars to diamonds for ease of transportation. Lee set himself up in a condominium on Wilshire Boulevard just west of the community known as Westwood and east of Beverly Hills. It only cost him $500,000. He bought 3 other condos in the same building that first year and paid his mortgages and living expenses from the rent he collected. After living a life of luxury for a year, enjoying California girls and living better than possible in Hong Kong, Lee began to trade in California real estate. Lee sold the condominium he lived in, including its furniture, for $1,200,000, a $600,000 profit, and used the proceeds to buy 3 ranch-style houses in Encino. He continued to trade, buy, sell, and deal in real estate at a profit for 9 years. Mr. Lee was known throughout Los Angeles as a wealthy, generous, ostentatious, and successful multimillionaire. Lee favored long-legged women and large, powerful cars. By 1990, he owned a Mercedes 500 SL convertible, a 1989 Bentley Turbo R he had imported from England with right-hand drive, a Ferrari Testarossa, and a 1987 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud. He drove fast. He had several tickets for speeding and reckless driving. Insurance was becoming a problem. Those insurers who accepted him demanded egregiously high premiums. In 2008, the bottom fell out of California real estate's market. Mr. Lee found himself owning real estate mortgaged to over $14 million, but whose market value was only $9 million. The rents he collected were not sufficient to pay the various mortgages and allow him to continue in the lifestyle with which he had become accustomed. He needed to make a great deal of money fast, and then, leaving his mortgages to fend for themselves, return to Hong Kong for a pleasant retirement. The solution to his problem was found in his very expensive and valuable automobiles. Each was insured. Each was rare and extremely valuable in the Orient. He still had friends and relatives in Hong Kong who could sell a $100,000 Mercedes for $300,000 to budding entrepreneurs in the new Chinese mercantile capitals like Shanghai and Wuhan. Lee placed his Rolls-Royce in a container and shipped it to Hong Kong as farming implements. His cousin Lee, Mi Chen, drove it over the border to Shanghai and sold it for a great profit. As soon as the sale was completed and Lee Mi Chen informed him the money had been deposited in his Citibank account in Hong Kong, he called his insurance agent and reported that the car had been stolen. An adjuster contacted him, took a detailed recorded statement where he explained in copious detail how he had parked the car on the 3rd parking level of the Beverly Center, a shopping mall near Beverly Hills, and when he returned with his new shirt from the Eddie Bauer shop, he found the Rolls was gone. The adjuster established the value of the vehicle by contacting 2 Rolls-Royce dealerships. He immediately delivered a check for $243,000 to Lee. Lee was thrilled. He had taken a car he owned clear and converted it to almost $1 million. This was too easy. The insurance adjuster was a pleasant man who only seemed interested in resolving the claim quickly and seemed to do little but haggle slightly regarding value. Mr. Lee enlisted some of his friends in the Chinese community of Los Angeles to join in his scheme. They found that all luxury cars were needed in China and enormous profits could be made if duties were not paid. They began leasing luxury cars. Between them, 200 Lexus, Mercedes, Audi, Jaguar, and Infiniti automobiles were leased and insured with major insurers. After making no more than 2 payments on their premium financing, Lee's group began placing the cars in shipping containers at the ports of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and San Francisco. Lee's cousin transferred the cars from Hong Kong and Macau to mainland China, where she sold them for hard currency. To finance the purchase of more cars, Lee's group reported the theft of each car to their insurer and had the loans paid off. They were always easy to deal with and never argued with the adjuster's suggested settlement. The conspirators knew they would profit on the sale in Hong Kong. They would replace the car with another leased with the insurance money and start the process over again. Mr. Lee's cousin was the #1 luxury car dealer in all of the People's Republic of China. She had no competition. She had an unlimited supply of vehicles and overhead limited to shipping costs. Lee's account at Citibank Hong Kong was growing. He put his savings in broad-based stock mutual funds specializing in high-risk emerging markets. His investments doubled in 2 years. Lee decided it was time to stop while he was ahead. He would ship his personal 1995 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud convertible, which he had purchased only 2 months before, to his new home in Hong Kong for his personal use. He did not smuggle the car out in a container marked farming implements like the other cars. He shipped it as his personal vehicle. Lee did not know the U.S. Customs recorded the vehicle identification number of every car that left the United States. Lee did not know that it was a crime in California to ship a car out of the country that secured a debt. Working with Customs at every port in the United States is a special agent of the National Insurance Crime Bureau, the NICB, who records the VIN numbers of every car shipped into its database. Every insurer who is a member of the NICB has access to the database. Each member company records every car reported stolen to the database. When Lee reported his car stolen to the Massive and Stoney Insurance Company of Pekin, Illinois, they automatically filed a report of the theft to the NICB. They assigned an adjuster who began a cursory investigation. The report of the theft was believable, and but for the value of the vehicle, a commonplace occurrence in Los Angeles. The adjuster recommended immediate payment. Roger Parsons, the claim supervisor at Massive and Stoney Insurance Company, looking out his window at the slow-moving brown Illinois River, was about to order a check for the settlement when he received a report from the NICB that the car had been shipped by Lee to Hong Kong a month before the reported theft. Customs officials in Hong Kong reported the car arrived and was picked up by its consignee. The NICB had copies available of the shipping documents with Mr. Lee's signature. Massive and Stoney then retained counsel to examine Mr. Lee under oath about the theft. Lee and his attorney appeared at Massive's lawyer and seemed to be belligerent, demanding immediate payment of a legitimate insurance claim. The lawyer said, "Mr. Lee is a wealthy and highly respected member of the community. This examination under oath is a waste of time and an attempt to create useless and unwarranted delays. If payment is not received immediately, Mr. Lee will sue Massive and Stony for bad faith." Len Shyster, Lee's attorney, orated with confidence. "I'm pleased to hear you and your client are ready to cooperate in the legitimate investigation of his insurer." River Prufrock, the insurance counsel, responded. "Ask your questions," Shyster asked in a tone that made the statement sound like a curse. "Mr. Lee, rather than take a lot of your time, tell me, is it true that you shipped your Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud convertible to Hong Kong just 2 months ago?" "Of course not. What are you implying?" Lee responded. "Who is Lee Mei Chen?" "My cousin, who lives in Hong Kong." "Isn't it true the car arrived in Hong Kong 3 weeks ago and the car was picked up by Ms. Lee Mei Chen?" "No." "You better have evidence, counsel," Shyster interrupted. "This is the most blatant breach of the covenant of good faith I have seen in my career. You and your client are in serious trouble." "Is that an objection?" "Didn't sound like one." "So I'll go on." Prufrock replied calmly, "Mr. Lee, is this your signature on this document showing that your Rolls-Royce, with its exact VIN number as shown on your proof of loss, was shipped to Hong Kong on the container ship the Orient Maru?" "Well, it is my signature," Lee responded. "I need to confer with my client," Shyster interrupted. "Of course," Prufrock responded, "off the record so counsel and Mr. Lee can confer." 15 minutes later, the two returned to the conference room. "I am terminating this examination under oath until I can complete my investigation into the matters you have raised." "Oh, I understand your position, counsel, but although I will agree to terminate this session of the examination under oath, it must be understood that it is not completed. My client considers full testimony from Mr. Lee to be important to the completion of the investigation of his claim. When you complete your investigation, we will resume." "Of course. I will communicate with you soon, Mr. Prufrock." The examination under oath was not completed. Using his testimony at the examination under oath, the NICB, working with Massive and Stony and 15 other insurers, the California Highway Patrol, the U.S. Customs Service, and the Fraud Division of the California Department of Insurance, resulted in a major arrest of 41 individuals, including Lee, for insurance fraud, grand theft, and fraud against lenders. A ring of insurance criminals who made hundreds of millions of dollars from insurers across the United States was stopped because one of the criminals, the instigator of the entire scheme, allowed his customs broker to record the VIN number of his automobile before it was shipped out of the U.S. Lee, as the instigator of the fraud, testified against his co-conspirators. He served only 6 months of electronic confinement to his penthouse apartment and paid $250,000 in restitution to one insurer. He is now living a comfortable retirement in Hong Kong. This video was adapted from my book, Insurance Fraud Costs Everyone, which is a supplement to my 2-volume treatise, Insurance Fraud 2nd Edition, all of which are available as Kindle books and as paperbacks from Amazon.com. If you viewed this video on Rumble, please click the Rumble button, and if you view it on YouTube, please click the like button. Thank you for your attention.